It's like my seafood told me one time he went to do a workshop in, he was in Chicago, and there's a guy there, and he tells me that the guy is doing this motion like this, right? And the guy's teaching Tai Chi, and he asked the guy, well, why are you doing that? And he goes, well, I just like the way it looks, and so he incorporated it into the form. Well, I don't know if that's exactly the movement, but anyway, my point is that if you're doing Tai Chi just for the appearance of it on the outside, you won't get these additional benefits. If I teach you and tell you this thing and this is pushing, or this is striking, or this is expanding, or this is pulling, and your mind will think about that, and then the mind will try to apply that action. If I say to myself, this is pushing, right? It's pushing, then the body itself is going to stabilize itself to make a push, right? If I say I'm pulling something, right? I'm pulling something. The body, for me thinking of doing this as a pull, is going to stabilize the body to make a pull. And so it's very important, and it doesn't matter, I have people that come to me in their early 80s. I still tell them what this movement is doing, not just to move the arms in the air. The reason why is because, again, it's the intent. It will work those muscles in an internal way, right? The connective tissue. It'll make the body process it. Progressive development, small, medium, large frame. So a lot of the traditional forms, systems, right? For example, there are small frames, medium-sized frames, large frames, fast frames, slow frames, all of these different variants. And they all have a value structure. This one does this for the person, this one does this. And not all of them do that, but some of them do. They're very detailed and it's all broken down. Some to the point even where there's round and square frames, meaning that the person first learns the movement in a almost mechanical way, right? And then once they learn it in a mechanical way, like, in other words, it's, we'll say it like that, right? Something fundamental. But then later, the body moves and is more circular and soft. That's a good approach too. What I do is that again, what I was sharing earlier, when someone comes to me and their stability in their leg strength or their core only allows them to be able to be like this, I'm not going to force them to do a frame that's this wide. They're not going to be able to do it, and they're going to get discouraged. But I can teach them the same fundamental movement like this, right? They can learn the coordination. They can start developing strength in the legs and how the body works. And then through time, they can progress. Just like if you went to the gym to lift weights, right? And you started out with this particular weight training thing, and it was 20 pounds, then you got to 25, then you got to 27.5, then you got to 30. You made a progression. And the way that I teach this program of Tai Chi is that same premise, right? Some people, because again, maybe they have a frozen shoulder, right? Or we'll just use that as an example, right? They can't do this large flowing motion. They can only make the arm do this. But after a while, potentially this may soften and loosen up so that they can make even a larger and larger move. Now, I can even take that on a deeper level because some of the forms I'm talking about, some are more akin to a small frame, some are a large frame. And I'm going to probably try to steer that person into doing something that's going to fit their needs more. Right off the bat. But it depends on what the goal is, right? So anyway, that's the fundamental platform. And then the method of this. I've already explained differences in traditional stuff, meaning some people that maybe do Tai Chi are looking at this, they're saying, well, he's explaining this all in an external way, and he's not using these romanticized words, and he's not using these words to describe these things. Well, kinetic energy is kinetic energy. I don't have to use, we'll say, a certain word, right? When people come to me, they want words and things that they can understand, and I think that martial arts, there's value in the traditional approach to things, but if we can modernize something, like me using these and telling somebody to go buy a set of these instead of going and finding a couple of pavers at Lowe's, if they can afford these. Nothing wrong with that. But this is kind of modernizing something, right? But in theory, there's nothing wrong with this. And I would think that, say my Sifu, he probably wouldn't have an issue with me using these to do the forms or the exercises, because I'm doing the exercises and I'm doing the forms. And potentially he may feel this is a good idea, I don't know. But I would think that the man was forward thinking enough that he would probably like something like this, you know. But so a lot of people are very focused on not looking at how things can expand and develop. In terminology, the same way, that's what I'm giving you. So what I'm doing here is, in a lot of ways, people are looking at, well, he's looking at the physical of the body and he's not looking at the internal. Well, when I'm talking about core and I'm talking about intent and I'm talking about breathing, I am talking about internal. But I will say this, if your legs are not strong enough, if you don't have the right structure, if you can't do this and keep your leg up, if you can't coordinate your body, right? If you're not breathing from your lower abdomen and you're breathing from your chest, you know, these things like that. If you're not looking at those physical, external things first of your physical development, and you can't change and improve those, then the things that you're talking about that you feel are internal, it's going to be very difficult to develop those. And even if you did develop them, the body itself may not have the physical capacity in which to support you to do it. But again, that's my opinion. Assessment. When someone comes to me, I worked as a personal trainer for quite a few years. I've been teaching 28 years martial arts, Swai Jiao, Tai Chi, Wing Chun, Long Fist even for a period of time. When somebody comes to me, I need to know what they want to accomplish and achieve. And a lot of people that teach don't do that. Their main goal is, okay, this is what I do, and we got you doing this. And it doesn't always work that way for people. That's why I teach private and I teach group classes. And I teach small group classes so that I can assure each person I can try to help them as much as I can. And not everybody's going to be the best. Not everybody's going to ever develop the best coordination, the best physical capacity, all of this kind of stuff. But you still want to be sure that the person you have an understanding of them, they have an understanding of what you're doing, and try to at least help them to reach their potential, whether they do or not. Goals. Realistic goals, right? When somebody comes to me, whether they want to, they're learning from me, or maybe they're living somewhere else and they want to come in and want to train with me. Let's figure out what we're going to do, right? I mean, you can't do everything at one time. Let's do it in building blocks. Let's complete this segment of stuff and see what we can gain from that, right? Tai Chi and yoga, differences in the same. In Tai Chi, we talk about mind and body and breath and Qi, right? This energy that flows through my body, right? Say it like that. Yoga, it talks about the body, the mind, the breath, and prana. Very similar, but different. A little, similar enough that you could compare it. Okay. I did yoga for a period of time. I had a primary instructor named John Kuhn, who passed away a few years ago. Very competent yoga instructor. And I taught classes in yoga when I had my school in Austin. Yoga is great, but as it relates to Tai Chi versus yoga, to me, you can do yoga anywhere, but it may not be as convenient. Tai Chi, you can pretty much do it anywhere. You can wear, you can have on a coat, you can have on all kind of clothes. And sometimes a lot of that stuff gets a little cumbersome with yoga. Also, too, most of the stuff that we're doing in Tai Chi, I'm standing. A big core of the postures in yoga are lying on your front or your back, or you're doing something from the ground. They're both wonderful. The thing that I would like to stress, though, as it relates to yoga, a lot of people, especially in their 20s and their 30s, they would go to yoga before they would go to Tai Chi because they think that maybe it's just for old people, right? And in reality, Tai Chi can be just as demanding as yoga, plus you have all of the other potential developmental training. Learning it as a martial art, learning the traditional weapons, learning push-ins, doing an activity with another person, all kind of stuff that yoga doesn't have in it. I would like to encourage anybody in their 20s or 30s that is looking for something to do to find a competent Tai Chi instructor with a good program, and you may find it as much of a benefit as a yoga class, and maybe with a little more detail. As it relates to calories burned in an hour, a good Tai Chi class is going to burn the same amount of calories as a good yoga class. You know, the physical effort that you're going to put into it is about the same. Develop a home practice. I encourage everybody that comes to me, whether they're coming to me for Squat Chow, or they're coming to me for Tai Chi, or they're coming to me for Wing Chun, develop a home practice. What's a home practice? It is, if you're coming to class 2 to 3 times a week, you should be training at home 2 to 3 times a week over the content that you're doing in the class. It will reinforce the material, and it will also provide you more an opportunity to consume more content. The other part of a home practice is learning, like say for example, use yoga, Tai Chi as an example, the forms. You learn these forms, you practice these forms, whether it be hand forms or weapon sets, you have some exercise apparatus to work on, and you start out slow, maybe 5 or 10 minutes at home, and after a few months you expand that to 15 or 20 minutes, maybe a few more months into it, you expand it to 30 or 40 minutes, and maybe after a year or 18 months of training, you've got a good hour workout at home that you're doing. Other than that 2 or 3 times a week that you're coming to class, you've got 2 or 3 times a week that you can work out. Functional fitness is not like weight training, right? Like say a person goes in and they work this portion of the body this day, the next day they come in and work this portion, or they take rest days in between these actions, or you're pounding your body with all this additional food to develop muscle mass. Functional fitness, I want to develop my strength, my stability, my core, those kind of actions. And in reality, if I do it the right way, and I blend my training at home from day to day, I should be able to work out at home 5 to 7 days a week if I wanted to, right? I mean, if you're coming to class 2 to 3 days a week, and you're doing 2 to 3 days at home, that's 5 to 6 days that you're training your body, and that's excellent. Take that other day off and, go and enjoy something. Do something that independent lifestyle stuff, right? Go to the movies, go for a hike at the trail, go hiking, whatever it is. Part of wellness and functional fitness is, exercise is the key to functional fitness, but with wellness, it's, getting the right amount of sleep, invigorating the mind, eating properly, all of these things create an environment so that you live a positive lifestyle, right? That the probability of being depressed or unhappy or having a lot of anxiety is much limited, right? When you're eating right, you're sleeping right, you're exercising right, you're getting the right type of stimulation to the mind and to the body, you're utilizing the right type of personal relationships, all of these things to stimulate you, to keep you in a growing state, right? A lot of times when people are depressed or unhappy or filled with anxiety, a lot of the time that comes from unhealthy diet. not exercising, not getting enough sleep. And it's like a cycle, right? Sometimes you think those things are what's causing it. You know, the depression is what's causing these things, and you know, it cycles back and forth. When in reality, you start fixing those things in your life, you will feel better. Your body will feel better. You'll feel more energetic. You'll have a better attitude about life and about doing things. So that's what I mean by that. Benefits of group or private. In a group class, it is dependent. I'm not a believer in 16 to 24 people in a class. The teacher should break it down more, and because yes, he or she is making a lot of money having that couple of dozen people in the class, and sometimes space is limited, right? But if all possible, break it down to 12 or under, right? I think an ideal size is about 6 to 8. That's way, the teacher can spend enough time with each individual and focus on things, especially for something like Taiji that requires a lot of detail. Just like yoga, you went to a yoga class and you've got a small yoga class, the teacher can spend more time correcting the posture and making sure that everything is working right. Same thing with Taiji. The swaja that I teach when people are doing throws and kicking and hitting people, I need to have that focus on the people. That's why I feel that group and small group classes are great. Private, some people do strive and they thrive, they do better in a private class. And through private classes, the teacher is able to work with you on details and make things better for you. And I highly encourage, me personally, I feel that I've benefited greatly from taking private instruction throughout the years from different instructors myself. You want to see it in a group class sometimes. You want to see how other people are functioning doing it. I don't like to compare people or things, but you've been doing something 6 or 8 months and you go into a group class, you've been private, and then you see other people and they're performing this stuff, and maybe you've got to feel good about your development, and you see that other people are struggling too. It can build you a little confidence to feel like, I'm doing good for where I'm at. Short term, long term. You're not going to get anything in a few weeks, right? I've had people come to me and they see Tai Chi on a movie or they see it in a video and they see the person doing these things and they think, well, because they can walk around, they should be able to do this easily. It doesn't work that way. Now, if you go to a Greg Center class or an informal class, which I've taught those, sometimes you play music or you're not there to get a lot of detail. Usually you've got 1 class a week or 2 classes a week for a month or for 6 weeks. And so you're just trying to get people through the form and let them see what, try to perform Tai Chi, right? But it doesn't mean that you're going to really advance and develop anything like that. And I don't mean to discourage people, but, a few months minimum to kind of get a foundation and then a few years to really develop something. And so you need to be realistic about yourself when you're coming into a class. It would be like an example. You go to a painting class and you think that in a couple of weeks you're just going to be able to paint all of these paintings. No, it's probably pretty unrealistic. You may get the idea of how to make paints and how to make shapes and stuff like that, but it's going to take you a while to be able to create portraits or landscape pictures and things like that. But that's part of the process and part of the fun of doing Tai Chi or learning to paint or learning to sculpt or doing any other thing like that. It's the process that you should entertain yourself with. If it's about just getting this one little thing, like a lot of people in martial arts, it's about the belt, right? It's not about the process. It should be about the process, not getting this thing. But then again, that's my view. Let's see. So active lifestyle, slow the decline, maintain an active view. 20s and 30s, okay, we're mainly more looking at an active lifestyle, right? 40s and 50s, we're more about, how to say this? we're more about maintaining, an active person. I want to be able to go out to the park and go for that hike, or I want to go and do that activity, and then I want to go to the yard walk, and then later that night I want to go and do this other thing. Right? I've got to have the energy for that, and so that's more like 40s and 50s, 60s to 70s. That's more about slowing the decline, right? I mean, nobody wants to admit it, but say you're 20s, you're already starting to make this slow decline to, through life. Nothing wrong with that. If people get so wrapped up in the youthful image, right? But when a tree puts on like a fruit, right? The fruit comes out, and the fruit it has to grow, and then it has to ripen. And you want to pick it when it's ripest, right? Well, life's kind of like that, right? We as humans, we mature into what we're supposed to be. We're not just that 25-year-old. We're that 65-year-old, and that's what we matured into being. It's just part of the life process and development, and it's not something to look down upon on yourself. Some people. The culture that we live in the U.S. is so geared toward youth, and all of that, when in reality, so many other cultures, maturing and aging is looked at in such a higher esteem, we'll say. So Tai Chi, I can do at any of these ages. And what I might do here in my 20s and 30s, I might be doing this in a more physical way, a more active way. 40s and 50s, I may have developed what I developed here, and now I'm going to try to maintain it. And again, here I'm going to try to maintain it, but I'm going to try to lessen that decline from, testosterone level dropping off in the body, or collagen depletion, or all kinds of things that happen with the body. But if we maintain the exercise of it, it encourages the body to keep it moving, keep it going, and that's so important. But again, there's all different variants of age brackets and why and what I would do here versus here. And if I came to Tai Chi in this age bracket versus coming to it in this age bracket, I started Tai Chi in my early 20s, and I'm so glad that I did, because me personally, I don't have any back problems, I don't have any joint problems, I don't have any neck problems, I don't have any joint problems. I'm just an older version of me. And I'm so happy with that, because again, I feel that Tai Chi has been instrumental in helping me to maintain my body. A fitness improvement plan, right? Like some people, when they start doing something like this, they leave out the other parts of the equation, right? If you want to lose 25 pounds, Tai Chi is great for giving you fundamental exercise and letting the body do its thing, but maybe I need to cut back on some of the carbs that I'm doing, right? Or maybe I need to cut out some of that refined sugar. Or maybe I need to make a calorie reduction in general, right? It's simple to do, right? But working to try to develop the health of the body, again, it should be a multiple point, right? No one exercise is going to maintain the body by itself, right? I still have to eat right, or I should be eating right, I should be sleeping right. I should be getting the right amount of stimuli to my mind, whether it be through reading, exploring things, or through interaction with others. I should have enough downtime every day. All of those things are important. And when you come to Tai Chi, just doing Tai Chi by itself is not going to fulfill all of that. But when I start doing Tai Chi, I start trying to work these other aspects of me, I'm going to end up with I'm going to end up being more successful in trying to uplift me